Wassail Beautiful People. I've moved my room around. I've got the glass here. I've got this lovely mosaic tiled montage behind me. The room feels happier, the bowl's singing better, and there's a lot going on with this full moon. It's a tricky full moon. It's a full moon in Leo, which is fixed fire. And we're in fixed air in terms of the sun. And there's a lot of heat building, but it's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's angry, but it could tip into anger so very easily. The other big thing that's going on is Pluto conjunct Venus, which we're going to look at as well. Pluto's been left alone, and Pluto is a little bit like, it's representing authority, and authority is being left alone at the moment. It still thinks it's in control, but its bully boy mates, Saturn and Jupiter, have gone forwards and they've transformed into something completely new, and they're awaiting the arrival of Venus, who at the moment, she's kind of, you need to see her as a bit like Persephone. She's coming out of Hades, she's coming out of the underworld to be reborn in the springtime, and she's moving to the party house. You know, Saturn's throwing a party. There was, I didn't manage to see it because of clouds, but there's a winter hexagon in the sky, and to me, with the moon in the middle yesterday, it just felt like an invitation to Saturn's party in Aquarius, which is this stellium. So then once Venus has slipped in on the 1st of February, and I think I might have got that wrong, I think I said the 9th of January in the last reading, but that's again, it's almost a sense that Venus was feeling uncomfortable and didn't want to declare herself, because Pluto is really applying pressure for Venus to kind of stay in the underworld, stay all dark and moody, and she just wants to get down and cheer up. And we're waiting then on the moon on the 11th or 12th, Chinese New Year, to join the stellium. There's also Pallas Athena, but I kind of want to say I'm not worrying myself about that one. And it's not because I don't know enough about it. It's just a general sense that a lot of the new asteroids that have been included in astrology have all been kind of just named almost like agricultural goddesses. It's like they haven't really been unpicked properly, and that's interesting in itself, because we've at the moment got to unpick normal astrology, what the planets have stood for. Saturn being a perfect example. Saturn's energy has changed completely. You know, we see that with the hexagon tornado over the North Pole. It's grown, it's changed colour. There's a different melody coming from the planet, and this is true of all the stars as they move. Even fixed stars. I did attempt to do a very long reading for you, which just wouldn't come out properly, that was to do with Virgo and Persephone, and Demeter, her mother, and to do with harvest, and to do with the empowering of Virgo, or the empowering of Venus, to be in their true frequency, their woman frequency, rather than their damaged child frequency. So not seeing them as victim energies. So anyway, let's see what gives. I've been told to put together 3 decks. I know, I'm having trouble shuffling it. So it's the Mystical Shaman deck, the Moonology deck, and the Chemin de la Vie, which is the evil pathways. It's not really, it's the awakening pathways, but you've got to admit, that looks like the roads of evil. And to a certain extent, when we delve into our shadows and go down divine detours, they are quite evil pathways that we have to navigate. And there was a sense the other day, the coyote came out in a reading while I was testing different decks to see which ones wanted to talk here, where the coyote came out and he said, you keep calling these journeys I take you on divine detours, but actually they're the correct path. They're not a detour, they're the correct path. All the other crap we do is the detours when we're not focused on our betterment, I guess, is what they're saying. So anyway, we're going to begin by asking what Pluto's role is, then Venus, and then we'll move on to the moon and see what gives. So, with this big, fat triple deck, what would Pluto like to say? And that's fat with a PH. So, we have four cards, but we have three face down, one of each. But we had an initial card that came out. What is Pluto representing? The damaged inner child. It's the abandonment. It's abandonment. It is that sense of being abandoned. So Pluto feels abandoned. Pluto has much power over life and death, but you can't control life and death if you've got no one to have control over. And right at the moment, there's a loneliness. There's just Venus, and she's just fleeting by before she leaves to go and join a really fun party in the collective. And there is that real sense, there's an overwhelming sense of abandonment, and it's got two frequencies to it. It's got the abandonment of the people, the collective. They've been in there with Pluto, and Pluto hasn't delivered a good party, basically. There's no fun in being at a party in Capricorn with Pluto. And there's been no fun at the parties throughout the last 200 years in Earth energy. The other side is the abandonment of authority, feeling abandoned because they're losing the control and the power that they've always wielded over the collective. And there is a lot of new truths coming out in all over the world, with some peaceful and some aggressive demonstrations against current rules. So, we have the sun, we have the supermoon, emotions are running high, and we have 22, the distance. So, there's the sun. Here is the supermoon. I haven't actually looked up which moons are super this year. And there's la distance. So it's again, I'm getting that energy of being blocked, being abandoned, reaching out for newness. So you can't see the sun because the sun is being blocked by distortions, and they are energetic distortions that have been playing out for millennia. And although we keep moving to what is considered new frequencies, they're just another variation on the old theme. They're not full truths. They're all masked in illusions, in sort of sleight of hand, I want to say. I don't want to pick on a particular politician, but yesterday I did witness a politician just do that blurring yet again, that kind of sense of you didn't properly hear what I said, but we did, but they haven't achieved what they said, so they've split the difference and tried to create a new statement within what was an old vague truth. And all of that energy is a distortion. this is air. We require the truth from governments, from people, from each other. We just need truth now, because truth will heal us. Painful, but it will heal us. So emotions are running high. This stellium is bringing this energy where Pluto's fury, and it is, I want to keep saying this energy of abandonment. I'm getting that real sense that this has gone on and on and on. You say you're going to be my friend and then you left me all alone. That's an old cycle, and Pluto's not going to get over that until it shifts in 2023 into Aquarius as well, but at which point everyone else will have shifted and gone somewhere else. But the point is that Pluto can't change that frequency yet, so there is that discomforting energy where Pluto's really trying hard to cloud and distort the truths, but the truths are much more powerful now because all the other planets are now working together and they're kind of leaving Pluto all alone at the moment. And then we have the distance, 22, which is a card which gives me the energy of lower world demons most often. But in this card, it's like there's a brand new air formula. And it's like we, the people, and there's a sense of Pisces about this. I'm getting the sense that this energy that's building right now, the point at which the finger reaches and touches this energy is coming in Pisces. So in a few weeks, there's a build, there's a real energetic reformulation of stuff that's going on. And there is a sense of a fear to touch the truth, like it might scald you, and it might, but ultimately it will blister and heal. So let's not worry about that frequency for the moment. So let's ask about Venus. I want to look at this one, look at the bigger picture, but I'm going to keep that as a hidden energy because it's like the bigger picture will unfold regardless. Sorry, but that one turned over, got dented, and they just said no. It was the Rainmaker. Oh, Venus has got a lot of cards, and I'm not sure with where they are. This one here has fallen on Pluto, so this to me is sensing or is giving the energy frequency of what happens when Venus meets Pluto. Okay, so there's a real energy of love and death. It's duality. It's like Pluto is staring Venus in the face at this conjunction as she passes by in front of Pluto, and he's willing her to take on board a kind of divine fury. But there was a different word they put in my head, and as I just started to describe that, the better word flew out. It's like he is trying to energize her to feel, it's not as simple as anger. It is a kind of divine rage. He's trying in a very childish way to inspire an aggression. And then we have the Gatherer, 21. This is feeling like the distortions that Pluto is explaining to Venus it's kind of saying, these are all those promises that were made to you by us, by people, by the world, for all the wonderful frequencies of love that Venus is capable of inspiring, and how they all grew into really heavy, distorted, I want to say like malformed, thick-skinned pumpkins, these great, heavy earth fruits that grew to the most enormous size because we were in earth frequency. And he's trying really hard, Pluto, to remind Venus of this frequency. But we're now in air, and although Venus is currently transiting through Capricorn, which is cardinal Earth, Venus is about to step into air, fixed air, and there's a fiery climax approaching. Full moon in Aries, which takes place usually in October. But the energy I'm getting from this is resolve. It's not, it's like this is Venus's answer. It's like, back off, mate. I've played your energy, and actually it was your energy that turned all these pumpkins into heavy, distorted frequencies. Sorry, mate, but back away is the energy I'm getting from this. And it's not anger, it's a divine rage that's coming across as calm waters. I'm kind of thinking of the waters of righteousness, but that isn't what I mean, because the righteousness is a really dangerous word. But there is calm, there is pause, there is healing energy from this, and we are heading towards Aries slowly, and we have had just that notion of Pisces and Aries, so I'm really feeling that energy of this being a natural transition. And we are supposed to be looking at the bigger picture. So this bigger picture is Venus being witness to the kind of shady truths that don't let the full truth shine out, and that's building, that's giving this energy. So when I was in the shower just now, I knew this card was going to come out. It hasn't come out first, it's come out with Spirit. Owl 398. And this card is about a coming together, but it's about, let me just look at what the other two cards are to see if, if it's true, and it is true. I knew that I would be on the right pathway if card 17 came out, but I was expecting it to come out as a star. So 17 is to do with the cicadas. They're like a little bug that comes out, but what happens is they live underground as nymphs, and that's very Venusian energy. They sit and they hide for 17 years, and then they rebirth, and they all come out, and billions of them arrive. And the idea behind it is by using a prime number. It's the importance of prime numbers that matters here. The 17-year cycle means they don't have natural predators. There's another area, I think in the Blue Mountains somewhere, where there's 4 or 5 different breeds of cicada who follow 13-year cycles, but they're prime numbers. Prime numbers are the building blocks. Prime numbers are air, they're truths. So we're moving towards these truthful energies as opposed to these distortions that have been what we've been given as truths. And, you know, if the outlets and places in which you expect to receive information are manipulating the information to suit their agendas, then it's not a truth, it's a distortion. And we're at that stage now where air energy is bringing prime truths out. So there's also, the reason why I knew it would be this card is because the cicadas have this distorted, almost, circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour period rhythm that we live by. And it's about how there's a sense of rhythms and cycles being in much broader patterns, prime patterns that we're not witness to. It's that 13 frequency, moving into a timelessness so that you can be divinely inspired without ordinary structures. And spirit is, I want to say, this is almost Venus in its own. I don't know whether you can see any of these cards that I'm holding up. The light seems terribly bad. This is like cosmic mother energy. I want to say staring at Venus to make sure that Venus passes by through without being tempted by Pluto. It's not that Venus, the energy of that planetary body, would be tempted, but it's that we might be. There is a real overwhelming divine fury, sacred rage frequency that's underneath their conjunction, plus having Leo, fixed fire, fixed air, is quite a hot temperature, and it's incredibly emotional. It's usually something that would turn up to suggest a moment of being bowled off your feet and falling in love, which is not something that one would expect in the current lockdown situations. But this card is trying to say that there are other cycles that are running on a different time frame. So although there's this temptation and pull of Pluto and Venus, it's not an energy that the actual planet will obey. It will pass by because it knows its purpose is to seize the day in the new energy. And it's that there's an epoch bursting frequency around 17, because this year is when the cicadas will come out all over North America, down, I think, down part of the East Coast, I'm not sure. But so it's their year. So again, that notion of us entering a new era, and we've got to seize that era, but we've got to seize it. Carpe diem, seize the day, hummingbird. It's Venusian, it's Venus energy. And we've got to approach that heart chakra energy calmly. We mustn't allow that frequency to burst over. We've got New Moon in Cancer as well. You and your loved ones are safe. This card is really, it always comes as a kind of a ticket just to remind you that you're safe, and that there's nothing to fear in the movement. But there's also something about rehoming coming through the energy of this card as well. I need to ask what separately that card's trying to say. I think I'll go with the Good Tarot. So you and your loved ones are safe, please. You and your loved ones are safe. You and your loved ones are safe. You and your loved ones are safe. So we have the Six of Water. And this card is that gut instinct of the instability that comes with change. We like things that are in balance. We like the emotional energy to be fairly easy. We like reunions with the past, and that's what's causing the Wheel of Fortune to be stuck. It's about to turn. That's what the stellium is. The stellium is the turning of a new energetic wheel. It's the wind blowing to move it on. And then we have here temptation, which is devil frequency. But here a fairy lies asleep, drugged almost by the wealth of earth frequency. And the temptation now is to wake up. Are you tempted to wake up, know that you and your loved ones are safe, and move forward instead of fearing change? And fearing change is a form of calcifying. It's a bigger problem the older you get. The young are immortal, you know, they believe, because old age is so far away, that they really are immortal. And it's the older people that fear changes because they're stuck in their ways, they're clouding their own energies, they're fossilizing, they're preparing themselves for their departure almost. And actually, you shouldn't really prepare for your departure. You should prepare each day to be alive and living and to embrace changes, because changes create new energy. So that sense of the movement is to do with us moving, migration movement. We've always been a species that migrated, and at the moment we're all locked in to a particular frequency that we chose as home before this all began. And look, for me, it's I'm moving around. At the moment, I'm in Lisbon, but you've been watching me move from different places. And every time you come, I'm having to unfold the energies of the place I'm in and see what that brings to me. So the current interesting one here is I've never lived anywhere with such a high humidity. And yet I'm not actually forcing myself into panicking and sweating as I would have done in my youth. I would have found that humidity too much, but it's like 98% humidity. But I'm learning to adjust my frequency to the changes that I am living in energetically. And that's really what this epoch of air energy is all about. Be tempted to take a bite from an apple that you believe to be poisoned because your thoughts say no change. This is a brand new apple. It's a beautiful apple. And if we can just trust in that energy, we can have transformation. So let's go back to the big fat stack and see what we get for the moon. What's this full moon all about? Actually, I'm just going to make a bit more space on the table because I get the feeling that the moon is about to shift a load of cards down. Venus had a lot of cards there. She's a very, very, very busy lady at the moment. But the key is the moon, the new moon that moves into Aquarius, because once Venus has joined the party on the 1st of February, we're really just left with waiting on the moon, and the moon is us. It's our personal emotions linking in to the stellium energy, to this big Saturn party that's going on. Remember Saturnalia, which starts on the 17th of December in Roman times. Saturn moved into Aquarius last year on the 17th of December. Saturnalia is about turning everything in society on its head, reversing everything. That's what this stellium party being thrown by Saturn is all about. So what would the moon like to add? Thrown a Moonology card out. What would the moon like to add, please, to this? What would the moon like to add? We've got 3. Let's just start there before we push too hard. So the full moon, that's a really interesting energy balance. We've got the new moon in Aries. A fiery climax approaches, and then it's time to take action. But look at how in the second card, this energy of the fullness, this now full moon, it's a really emotionally powerful moon. I would go as far as to say it feels like the new moon on the 13th was the first new moon in full air energy. And this is the first full moon in air energy. And it's behind the sun, Saturn and Jupiter firing up, pushing air energy right across the sun, making it hot and fiery. And that frequency is burning away. It's like it's scorching things away, but it feels like this 2 weeks, just this 2 weeks of new moon to full moon has almost containing within it a whole year's moon movements, and it's because it's the first air moon. It feels unbelievably fast, really swift, but it stepped out before it makes its move. It's no longer having the emotions rule it. It's stepping away from the emotions and beginning with just a slither of light to just step forwards very, very calmly. So it's time to take action because we're changing. Your commitment is being tested. This also, the phrase went through. This moon is a big test for everybody, really everybody. It's about working things out. I was going to say and letting go, and I've looked down and the next card is reaching up to this stellium and receiving the new frequencies. The giveaway is to give away all of the past, to just realize that the structures that we've lived through, by, with, have just broken down now. I mean, there's no way you can look at it in any other way. You can't say we can get back to normal after this COVID, because we've broken every normal structure now. Everything has been changed. We've all had to go through and witness complete upheaval in our personal and work lives. And so we have to create a new pathway forwards. So we have the middle world in its bubble, held in its bubble, and we're bringing new energy down to the earth. This full moon is, it's interesting because the moons are the wrong way round at the moment. So the full moon comes before the new moon in a particular sign. So the new moon in Aquarius isn't until the 11th or the 12th, depending on where you are in the world. But the full moon is ahead of itself. So it's like air energy is taking us ahead of the game so that we have a chance to consider what we'd like to do with the new energy once we've released the old. So what else would the moon like to say, please? What else would the moon like to say? Okay, so bring love into the situation, Venus, emotions. We're preparing ourselves for this frequency, and this is new moon in Aquarius. Way! We love it when the cards does that. This is talking about this full moon is the preparation to keep ourselves calm from that fire, that rage, work that all out and work out how to approach this stellium moon energy when it arrives on the 11th and the 12th, so that we can move forwards in the right frequency. And then we have 16 and 17, Eagle and Earth. So Eagle is spirit striking down on the confusion that is whirled up by Pluto, still angry. And this is about bringing the energy of air into the Earth grid, changing the frequency of things, and Earth emerging as a new force. And it's 16 to 17, it's a natural progression. 17 again, the cicadas, the 17, the prime number, the truth, the building blocks. And what's this moon also trying to do? It's kind of like, we've got the realm and the beauty way. I mean, absolutely amazing energies, but these are the notion of something that's coming towards us, that's being prepared now. But the energy that I'm getting is the moving home. You know, when you move home, you have to decide what most suits you, what you need, what you require, what do you need to take with you. And some people don't move home because they can't face the process of working through how to deal with all the possessions that they've accumulated. I mean, I gave away all that I owned, really, apart from what I have in my suitcase, 3.5 years ago when I sold my house. And it was a difficult energy. It was like being the executor of your estate, only you weren't dead and you got to do it. And there are moments when you open boxes that you haven't looked in for 3 years, and things come out and you think, oh, look, that, and you just go, I haven't looked at that in 3 years. There's absolutely no point in my possessing of this object any longer. And you eventually just let go of things. The important things in life are stored within your memories. Your memories are throughout every organ in your body. Every organ has memory cells to remind the cell what its purpose is. So the heart has memory cells to remind it to beat, but it also has memory cells that connect it to emotions that energetically inspire love within us. So we are creating, I also want to say, I've got this dragonfly emerging. The cicadas have got some kind of air energy relevance when they come out. They're a reminder somehow of deeper, longer, secretive patterns that exist within the world. So, any final messages, please? So we have la pluie, which is the rain, and the evil. The evil rain is coming. It's actually the rain, the emotions, the purification that will awaken. And look, there's Saturn sitting in the middle with all the other planetary bodies and formulas all floating around, because Saturn's changed and it's bringing new energy. It's a divine 9. And then we have the rain is just coming across as a purifying vast life force that's sweeping in to bring changes emotionally to us as an entire humankind. And I love the word humankind because, you know, mankind's not a good word. This is out half the population. It's time we became humankind, time we were borderless, time we accepted that there are certain... Oh, I really just damaged that card. Whoops. It's time to release negativity. That's what this stellium is about, that biting into that new apple and trusting in the energies that Mother Cosmos is bringing in for change. So is there a final message, please, on this full moon? So we've got the slipper and the eternity. The slipper's energy often comes over as a stumble. There will be points when we stumble. That's the whole point of everything. Stumbling is when we get back up and we learn from a mistake. But the slipper is also about deciding to engage with the journey forwards. And it's an eternal journey. It's a sacred journey. It's a journey that's really about adaptation is what is coming through. Balancing. There's a tree of life being regenerated, but I'm also seeing a kind of mechanical peacock's tail, which is talking to me about the internet. But why? Why are you saying the internet? 3121. Okay, so there's some kind of, I want to say it's to do with like quantum computing or something. There's a new kind of energy coming to the internet. Look, we need to remember that everything is source. And at the moment, so they're saying that the internet is being used wrongly, distortedly, and it's being used to almost shove us in front of a fast-moving train. And we've got to reconnect to the fact that inside the mind of the AI that's working inside the internet, all these algorithms, all these maths that's taking place, it's still underneath it all driven by the prime number patterns of the divine. Why? I need to know why. That doesn't quite, sorry, it doesn't quite make sense. Why? What's going on with the internet then? That one was a time to give rather than to take, but it didn't feel like it wanted to come out. So we have two cards over here. A personal issue reaches resolution, and the dream. The dream is coming across as a new web, a new, I don't want to say fractal, let me look. It's about like a new energy of, it's like, it's something to do with data collection and data misuse, and that somehow Source is bringing a new energy that's going to drive forwards this notion of the internet becoming a cleaner frequency because it's being distorted. Look, this is very much all kind of computer work is very much Aquarian energy, it's Uranian energy. We've got this stellium lining up. So there's something going on at a core level in computing that's a huge change is coming across. We're letting go of, I want to say, one form of the internet to a new form of the internet, a transformative energy. But this is 44, and that's that frequency of ancestors and spirit. Almost, I'm really being shown this idea of ancestors being able to lock into the World Wide Web somehow and influence. So look, when I do this reading, you might see certain things that stick out because in your version of the internet, that's how your guides and ancestors want to encourage how you witness what the internet can deliver. And then it's have faith in your dreams. That's that trust, that's that biting at the apple, changing things, knowing that you can create something new together and not feeling isolated. And then we have the heart. So this is again, this is higher heart, Venus combined with the lower heart, working together. This is the power of love energy, the realm, the beauty way, the awakening, these frequencies of some new realm, because it comes with the card of realm coming in, and it's echoing, where was the card earlier? The circle. It's like at the moment, because of how we are all locked up individually, we can't imagine coming together and becoming I don't want to be like a single collective, because it will never quite be that here. It's way too complicated, but we're coming closer and closer to that notion of coming together as humankind, moving forwards. Because there's something birthing in this card. There's something birthing. We've also got, obviously, we've got the seize the day. We've got that carpe diem card. This is really much, very much about a new frequency of love, a new frequency of emotions, cleansed, washed through, creating awakening truths in people. You can't keep pulling the wool over the eyes, because eventually you're like, my eyes open, I see what you're doing. You can't keep battering me with fears when you never deliver the promises. And that's what's gone wrong. You know, promises have become a wasted frequency, or no, that's not the word I want. A currency. They're a wasted currency now. Promise me you'll do this. People make all kinds of promises and never stick to them. This is a new energy. This is truth energy. This is air energy. And it can be very difficult energy. But on the whole, it's all taking us in the most fabulous direction. We've just got to work out how we pick up our own sword of truth and wield it without cutting ourselves, I guess, trying to pick it up. And being strong enough to hold it up. I mean, look, seriously, swords are bloody heavy, so, you know. There's a lot to go through. It's exciting. Full moon. Don't let it upset you. And definitely don't go falling for anyone on this full moon if you get the chance. Because it won't work. It won't work. It'll all be wrong. Anyway, that's the reading for the full moon. Enjoy, and I shall be back in this beautiful spot very soon. Wassail, everyone.